And now we're going to do something a little bit different than we normally do. We've got a panel discussion that will be led by Zach Storms, our friend with Startup TNT, and I think many hats now. Awesome. Thanks, Zach.
All right, here we go. So I'm Zach Storms. I'm with Startup TNT and now also with Edmonton Unlimited. So thank you for inviting me here today, Catherine. Startup TNT started about 7 years ago. And I see some of our investors in the room. We raised money for local startup companies. We've now raised about $20 million for over 100 startups, and many AEG members have participated as investors, including John Liston, Harvey Fauché, Don Lucas, and quite possibly your most famous member, Premier Danielle Smith. She invested with us back when she was your executive director. I'm now with Edmonton Unlimited, and we're launching a program called Built World Tech Venture Pilots, where we pair startups with corporations as early adopters of their technologies. And here we go. I guess now the microphone's on. All right, I thought it was a little quiet. Okay. And so today we're going to do a panel. So the Built World Tech program is actually sponsored by Minister Nate Glubish's ministry, Technology Innovation. So I just think it's so nice to be here. Catherine gave me a bit of a clean slate to talk about AI in business, and I got three amazing panelists. If you guys don't mind joining me right now, first up we got Daniel from SketchDeck AI, Daniel Kamau. He's built a system right here at Edmonton to help steel manufacturers or steel fabricators do their jobs very effectively with an AI tool. We've got James Dang from Amy, who's been involved in about 100 different projects, helping traditional companies or helping businesses adopt AI. And then we've got Sunil Vedula, who's coming in from the back. He was previously with NanoPrecise, who I think had our largest fundraising round in the entire city last year. And now he's with N-Twist, helping different manufacturers and mining companies adopt AI tools. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to the panel. Thank you. All right, let's start with just a quick round of introductions. Talk a little bit about yourselves and your organizations, and then we'll talk a little about how you guys work with companies to adopt AI. So let's start with Daniel.
I'm still trying to get my mic working.
Oh, it's working now. I can hear it.
Yeah, so my name is Daniel. I'm a former structural engineer. Worked at RJC for 6.5 years and then went back to school at the University of Alberta to do my MBA in management and construction and master's in construction management. Started to learn about AI, and the summary of that was big data and pattern recognition. Graduated in the middle of the pandemic and started SketchDeck AI. We work with steel fabricators to help automate their bill of materials. What that means is they get engineering drawings and they have to quantify their scope and how much material that they have to fabricate. Our software is a cloud-based software. Something that used to take 3 days a week now takes a couple of seconds and then a few hours, maybe 2 or 3, for them to review the output. What that ends up doing for these fabricators, they're able to bid on more work and they can achieve tremendous revenue growth and service their customers effectively. We have customers that have tripled in revenue. We have customers that have achieved significant outcomes. And we started using AI and machine learning, or developing AI and machine learning in actual use cases in 2020 before ChatGPT became a thing. And so we've been the beneficiary of the industry and individuals in the construction industry being more open to technology because of what's been happening at the macro level. So very excited to share what I've learned over the past 4 or 5 years.
All right, thank you, Daniel. All right, James, why don't we go to James next? He's from Amy. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, for sure. So my history has always been in technology. I've dabbled in advertising, gaming, nonprofit sector, whatnot. That's kind of led me to where Amy is now. So I'm the product owner of the industry team, multiple teams at Amy, but where the industry team specializes in is talking to mature organizations through one of two doorways. Doorway number one is how do we use AI and ML? Where do we start? And doorway number 2 is we have a specific problem in mind we want to solve using AI and ML. How do we get into it? How do we solve it? And so on. So where my team comes into play is we help you scope that out and kind of dig into where you can start. But yeah, Amy, we're one of 3 other organizations across Canada. There's Mila in Montreal, Vector in Toronto as well. I believe there was just an announcement maybe 2-3 days ago where the $100 million were invested into AI startups. So we're part of that kind of funding there. Yeah.
And how many employees are at Amy now? Give us a scale. It's a large organization.
We're sitting, I don't have the exact number. I believe we're at 120-ish at the moment and still hiring. So.
And how many industry projects do you do per year? Do you know?
For the industry team, oh gosh, varying across different products and whatnot, I'd say, per year, 100, maybe more, across various teams.
All right, great. Well, you're very active then. All right, and finally, Sunil, give us everybody a little bit of background and talk about N-Twist for us.
Sure. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Zach. And I'm Sunil. I'm currently a co-CEO at a company called N-Twist. Before that, as Jack mentioned, I was founder and CEO of a company called NanoPrecise. I took it from 0 to 10 million in 8 years, from 2018 to 25. Raised around $35 million in funding over that course. Seed, Series A, B, C round. And NanoPrecise was more about how to improve the reliability and the energy efficiency for customers in heavy industries like mining, manufacturing. And after that, I basically joined N-Twist because N-Twist is on that increasing the throughput. So there is an RET framework, reliability, efficiency, and throughput. Every customer either in manufacturing or mining or automotive, any heavy industry you can think of is looking for these 3 objectives to improve. And so since I covered reliability and efficiency, throughput was one major thing that I was attracted to. So as part of N-Twist, we are catering to mining and manufacturing, to be specific, and really excited to work with the Alberta companies. For example, for one of the Alberta company called Cougar Drilling, we were able to decrease their cycle times from 70 days to 43 days, right? And improve their throughput, their capacity without increasing the CapEx by almost 30%, right? And because of that, I mean, in fact, they came up and they're talking to some of our future investors, because nothing better than your customers talking about your business rather than you yourself, right? So, and really excited about that and how we can advance the manufacturing companies within Alberta, and really proud of a united Canada. Despite of all the noise, I think very, very bullish about Canada's future for sure.
All right, let's get into it, guys. I think one of the things that excites me about this group here is we have an opportunity to chat a little bit about technologies coming out of our own ecosystem and building relationships between our traditional business community and the startup innovation community, where I see a lot of opportunities. So I shared this report with the panelists right before we started here from the Wharton School of Business that's been tracking AI adoption over the last 3 years. And their most recent report, which is a survey of hundreds of basically senior decision makers of large companies across the United States, 1,000 plus employees. The most recent report says something like 82% of senior decision makers are now using generative AI tools on a weekly basis. And they've moved from like curious excitement to we're now seeing ROI. We're now actually doing specific things with this AI to improve our processes, improve our businesses. So there really is a moment here where people are going to see that AI can actually have real impact on your business. And so to get started, maybe just define for us, James, what does generative AI mean when people talk about and use that term?
Yeah, definitely. Very simply put, generative AI is right there in its name, generative AI. So now we're generating content. So drafting proposals, generating reports, creation, right? Creating prototype marketing materials in terms of imagery and whatnot. I've noticed around the room, some of you guys have like the newer iPhones and whatnot. So Apple Intelligence, when you're making your own emojis or making your own little images, that's using generative AI. ChatGPT, one of the more common ones. I'm sure some of you folks are already using it, right? Or Gemini. So helping you generate answers back to your prompts and requests and so on.
All right, thanks, James. Now, let's just take a moment and dig in for each one of you. How do you help people adopt AI, and what kind of outcomes are you seeing? Let's start with Daniel. You have a homegrown tool built right here in Edmonton. Walk us through what it does and how you onboard a new customer and what kind of outcomes they see.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So we've gone from, call it 5 or so customers early on who are early adopters, who invested in the technology, became customers before there was ever a product. Essentially, they were visionaries. To now we have over 80 customers, probably about 95% of them being in North America, mainly in the US. And the users that we have are usually of an older demographic. You'll find that estimators are usually have been in the industry 20, 30 years. They're critical to the business. They understand how the fabrication shop floor work. And so it's important for them to transfer that knowledge. And so our customers are usually buying the software as a stopgap measure, knowing that their estimators are going to retire and they may not be able to find enough good estimators to fill in those roles. How we help customers adopt the technology, I guess one way to put it is we've built a good technology in that the product itself is easy to use. But not just that, we've worked with our customers to be able to develop a product that fits into their workflow. When I say fits into their workflow is we think about their workflows from beginning to end, and we think about what other softwares they're looking to integrate, what barriers to adoption that they might have. Do they have champions internally? Once we identify the flywheel of what is their workflow, where does AI fit, where does AI accelerate, where does it not, then we've built out solutions that help them accomplish that. So for the business community, if you're thinking about applying AI or adopting AI, I would start with, focus on the problems and the most challenging aspects of your business, and don't let go of that. And then look for partners and champions internally who can help you look or build solutions that are focused on the critical parts of your business.
Do you ever get any pushback from the estimators? Is there any concern that they're worried that this technology is actually going to replace their jobs?
Yeah. Usually that's before they use the technology. So after they use the technology, they realize that they'll be able to go home early, and they won't be working on weekends. And then you can tell that they get a lot. They realize that there's a practical limitation to what machine learning technology and AI can do today, and so they don't get so concerned. But the concern is usually before they've touched the software.
Okay, thanks. All right, let's go to Sunil next. You have a lot of experience with different types of AI implementation tools. Why don't you walk us through your current situation at Entwist? How do you guys help companies adopt AI, and what do you guys deliver for them?
Yeah, very similar to Daniel. We work with schedulers through our manufacturing platform. I mean, for us at Entwist, we me and Chaudhary, we started our companies together. We had a single motto that never start with AI. Let's look at customers' top line and bottom line and what really impacts them. Let's first understand that. And what we realized, and for our manufacturing customers, is that they have the capacity, the capacity to produce more, but their utilization factor was around 50, 60, something like that. So we tried to understand why is that. Why can't we increase that? So for that, they told us a lot of different problems. And then based on that, we started looking at data, right? What data they have in their ERP. So based on that data, we basically understood what is the business logic. How can we correlate that to this increasing that utilization factor, right? And always it's a compromise between within the resources that they have, how to increase throughput without either decreasing the bottom line, right? Or how to increase the bottom line without hurting the throughput too much, right? So that's where it becomes an optimization problem, and a lot of back and forth. Like, rather than completing one full application, we agreed that this can only be solved with a lot of iterations. So we believed in fast deployment and taking feedback, fast deployment, taking feedback. And that's why even our pricing model is basically in the world. Sorry about that. Yeah, in the when you try to sell AI solution, it's really important to also model your pricing structure in a way that it's outcome based, right? So that's where, because every customer has been sold by so many different vendors about, oh, we will produce you this, right? And they have been burnt their thing, even by the likes of McKinsey. Like, who are we? Right? So that's where if you want to build that trust, it also should reflect in your pricing, milestone based pricing, all of that, right? And that's where we started building that trust. We have a performance guarantee kind of program for the customers. So then slowly they start, and also it comes to the change management with the customer. So we cannot assume that the customer will have that inspiration and the knowledge to do that change management. We have to. Customer does not want to say, but he's speaking out loud in a silent manner. Please help me to do that change management, right? And that's where we need to understand as a vendor that is also part of our job, for which we are not paid, right, as a license cost or something, but we need to help them embrace that change, coach them through weekly or steering committee meetings and all of that, right? And bring everybody together, from the shop floor guy to the manager to the VP of operations. And that's where what we also include in our terms and agreements, that we need one call per month where all of your guys are together in one meeting, because this is not a vendor and a customer relationship. We are in a partnership, right? And that change management will only happen if we are all together. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Sunil. Okay, let's go to James now, because James actually works in a very broad spectrum of different types of businesses are trying to adopt AI like very generally. So walk us through how that looks.
Yeah, so slightly different yet similar to how you guys approach things. So where we approach, like I mentioned before, when we have an AI strategy product. So we start off with literacy. What is AI? What is ML? We have a literacy platform, grab you guys some seats and so on, teach you guys what are the basics to it, ML, ethics and whatnot. And then we go into a 2-day brainstorm. And this is where we actually sit down and figure out what is the ROI, what are the problems you're trying to solve, just because we come from the standpoint that implementing AI for the sake of AI is not the proper process, right? You actually want to have it connect to something that can give you some sort of, once again, ROI. So we sit down with you, myself, our scientists, kind of dig through all the different opportunities over the 2 days. And at the end of it, we figure out what are your top 3 or 4 opportunities. And from there, over the next 6 weeks, we dive into one of those opportunities, flesh it all out for you. Do you develop it in-house? Do you develop it with us? Do you work with potential vendors, right? So we kind of help you out, branch it out from there, and yeah, get to that ultimate solution.
What does a timeline look like for you guys from first meeting to having a solution implemented? What's that timeline?
That's a great question. So the second part of it takes roughly 6 weeks, but in terms of the actual workshops, I'd say it's a 3-month process from start to end, roughly, just trying to figure out timing for the teams and organizations and so on. So we try to move fairly quick, but we do get kind of jammed up because everyone's calling us for services. So not to brag about it, but yeah, so it's just trying to figure out where we can slot new clients in and so on.
Okay, let's talk about, from your perspectives, what are the characteristics of the companies that are adopting AI effectively and getting the best outcomes? What do you guys see? What are some trends? Who wants to kick us off?
I could start us off, especially in the specialty contractor space or subcontractor space. 95% of our customers are in the U.S. these have been customers who are in very competitive environments. These are customers who are facing tons of pressures. It feels like they're also the mid-tier or mid-sized companies as opposed to the larger enterprises. Part of that, it seems that there's an innovation mindset that exists within the companies. There are champions that are inside the company, and companies that are looking for gaining an edge in some way, shape, or form. We have some customers that have adopted, even large customers that start with very focused and pointed experimentation. So they'll say, hey, we'll invest $10,000, we'll invest $20,000 to start. And over the span of 3 years, because of the success they've seen, they've continued increasing that investment up to, multiple six-figure investments because they're seeing the return on investment. So I think the companies that are approaching or adopting AI are the ones that are in competitive environments. They're also taking small bets, but then iterating and continuing to invest in areas where they're seeing good success.
Thanks, Daniel. James? Go ahead.
I'd say one of the trends we've seen is companies, small, medium, large, who are now sitting on vast amounts of data, internal data, client data, customer data. Now they're going, we have this, what are we doing this? So going what you were saying, they're seeing their competitors now using data to kind of get the upper advantage. So they're now going, we have this repository of data, how can we use this to our advantage, right? So more and more folks are looking at utilizing that data for some sort of gain, whether it's generative models or prediction models, fraud detection, and so on.
Yeah, I think one of the most important characteristic that we notice in customers is when the top leadership is taking a buy-in, but at the same time, they're including people at the ground, not in the third or fourth meeting, but from the first meeting itself, right? Of course, before that, they do some internal due diligence. The top executive does that due diligence about whether it is good for me or not. So, of course, top leadership, of course, needs a lot of training themselves, how to utilize AI, how to basically prioritize AI efforts. But the best success that we have seen is when they also involve those, team who will be using those AI solutions on a daily basis from very early on. And of course, there'll be a lot of uncomfortable discussions or, constructive confrontations or constructive argumentation. That is a part of this game, right? You need to have that early on and move past it. And basically, as the saying goes, scale small, start small, iterate fast, and scale faster, right? And that's the motto. And whichever teams use that rather than being in a limbo whether to decide or not, because the era of being slow is gone. Everybody of us will know that. So, we have, yes, we don't want to take unnecessary risks like, we are not in a Las Vegas casino to play any gamble. Yes, understood that. But at the same time, there are a lot of calculated risks that you can take and you should take. That's where a lot of analysis from the top executive comes in, and they bring in the lower, the shop floor guys or whoever is getting impacted, whether it is mining, manufacturing, and move on with it. Yeah.
All right, thanks, guys. How about we chat a little bit about when does AI fail? When have you guys seen it not work out?
I can start us off. I think the areas where it's worked really well is where there's manual, repetitive, and consistent workflows. The areas where there's a lot of variation, we haven't been able to scale AI in those use cases just yet. And so if you can think about your workflows on where there's manual, repetitive, and consistent work, that's an opportunity for successful adoption. I think the other element too is the customers that are getting good value at this point, they're using AI to unlock their team members to do more for their customers. And so our product is very focused on revenue generating arm of the companies. And it seems like that's a practical area where customers have been incentivized to see the ROI, as opposed to cost savings and cost reduction. The application of the software has resulted in cost savings and teams being able to do a lot more with a lot less. But the ROI has been tangible in that they can look at the bottom line and see, okay, this is the point where we implemented this technology, and these are the tangible outcomes that we're starting to see from a revenue or profit perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Daniel. James, what about you? You must see a lot of companies come through. What are some pitfalls to avoid?
Going back to exactly what I said, it's the data piece, right? So we can, explore all the different opportunities, dig into models that we can develop and whatnot. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the data to back it up, it's not going to get you any for, or the prediction rates are going to be very low enough that you can't use anything. So it always comes back to data. There's been a few times where we've recommended models, and then our second recommendation is before you even start anything, you got to spend the next 6 months collecting that data. So data is the number one thing. Once again, depending on what you guys want to predict or what you're looking for, there are data sets out there that you can purchase. There's open data through the city and through governments and whatnot. Accuracy may vary, but for the most part, data is the piece that I wouldn't say businesses fail, but starts to lag behind, because like you guys are saying, speed is everything, right? Getting first to market on prototypes and proof of concepts and whatnot. So making sure that you start to collect that data.
Thanks, James.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
I can share one example without naming the one of our customers that I would love to share one of our failure. Right? We learn more from our failures than the successes. So one of our customer, in Europe, manufacturing customer, so their utilization factor was at around 30%, and through our software we increase it to 60%. Does that make a difference to their throughput or revenue? No, because the problem really is that they have not themselves found their product market fit. Our customer did not find the product market fit. So what we realized, and that our ICP needs to be tuned, that we are looking for manufacturers who are either at capacity or over capacity, so that we can add more capacity without adding more capex. So what this tells is that where the customers can fail if they're not, if you're implementing AI for the sake of AI, if you're not very clear where is this AI solution, what is the problem that you're solving, and is that problem directly adding to either your revenue or improving your bottom line, without basically, because both are not mutually exclusive goals, they are mutually inclusive. So increasing revenue should not come at the expense of decreasing your bottom line, or increasing the bottom line should not come at the cost of decreasing your revenue, because that will reduce your market size or market share, right? So as long as the problem statement that you have identified is very pinpointed, can answer that question, you're going in the right direction.
All right. Now, I think we're just about at time here for the panel. So I wasn't trying to take audience questions, but we're out of time. So I encourage everyone to stick around. These guys are going to stick around. Let's have some good conversation after the panel. Really rapid fire. Any final thoughts? Who wants to get started on AI? What should they think about? Really quick, really quick.
I would say identify a champion internally, or identify a problem and then identify a champion internally, but take small bets. Allow yourself to invest in the areas that are going to unlock the problems that you need to solve.
James.
I would say AI is not a scary topic to tackle. It's fairly easy to get into, and once you do get into it, you can find different ways to unlock efficiencies within your business.
Yeah, forget about solutions. Even start talking to your team, and if they can implement some generative AI solutions like Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever, ultimately, they need to make sure whatever the output they produce is correct. Do not judge the source of the information, judge the accuracy of the information, because everybody will have to use AI now. So it's not about, oh, this seems like from ChatGPT. As long as we move away from that mentality, I think we'll do good.
All right, let's give our panelists a round of applause. Thank you so much, Sunil, James, and Daniel. Thank you, Catherine, for having us today. And I believe the minister's next.